The Matthews family, consisting of Jim, Tabitha, and their children Julie and Ethan, were traveling in their RV. In the middle of the journey, a fallen tree blocked the road, forcing them to take a detour, which brought them to a small town. The town's sheriff, Boyd, tells them to follow the road through town to reach the highway. They followed his instruction, but were repeatedly looping back into the town. And suddenly an accident happens to them as they run off the road trying to avoid a car. The RV flips and crashes. Toby, one of the passengers of the car, walks to the town even though he is injured, and he informs Boyd and Deputy Kenny about the accident. Kenny takes him to the town clinic. Then he and other people from the town go to help the others who are injured in the accident. Boyd and the town doctor, Christy, stay in the overturned RV with Jim to help Ethan, who can't move because he has a leg injury. Kenny, Father Catry, and Boyd's son Ellis take Tabitha, Julie, and Jade, who is the second passenger of the car, to the town. But their car runs over a spike strip left on the road originally for the RV. Kenny tells Tabitha, Julie, and Jade to run fast with them, and they run for the colony house, which is nearby before dark. Back in the RV, as night falls, strangers slowly approach the vehicle and surround it. Kenny and the others barely make it to the colony house, and the leader of the colony house, Donna, lets them in while the strangers are closing in on them. Due to the protocol of the colony house, Tabitha, Julie, and Jade, who is unconscious, are separated and tied up. In the RV, Christy, Boyd, and Jim stabilize Ethan, while the strangers surround the vehicle. Boyd explains the situation in the town to Jim. At the same time, Donna also explains the situation in the town to Tabitha. The strangers outside are shape-shifting creatures that kill people the instant they get caught. All the people in the town are those who arrived at the town and became trapped just like the Matthews family. The man named Victor is one of the earliest people who got trapped in the town. The mysterious talismans discovered by Boyd acts as a shield from the monsters when they are placed inside an enclosed structure. At the clinic, voices in Sarah's head make her kill Toby and open the door of the clinic, which lets the monsters inside, and they brutally kill the two people inside the clinic, which includes Kenny's father. The next morning, Boyd and Christy bring Jim and Ethan to the town. Kenny then sees what happened in the clinic when he went there, and he is extremely sad because of his father's death. In the colony house, Ethan looks out of a window and sees a mysterious boy in white. Jade regains consciousness, and Donna explains the situation to him. He doesn't believe this. He thinks that this is a prank done by Toby. Father Catry tells Jim and Tabitha that there will be a ritual called the Choosing Day, where they will have to decide whether they will stay in a private home in the town or in the colony house. He then shows them the house where they could live. While walking through the town, they see a strange structure, and Catry explains that the town's only form of punishment is that which is called the box, where the culprit is confined overnight and left exposed to the monsters. And for the first time, somebody is going to be punished using the box that night. Frank, a drunkard whose carelessness resulted in the deaths of his wife and daughter, is the first person to be punished. Boyd offers to help Frank to escape, but he refuses. At the choosing day for Jade and the Matthews family, Julie chooses the colony house after her family picks Frank's former house. Jade also chooses the town, but he causes a scene thinking all of this is a prank. Kenny takes Jade to Toby's grave to make him believe everything. Kenny then brings Jade to stay at his house. Frank is then put in the box and is killed by the monsters. In the past, when Victor was a child, he saw the corpses of many residents. The boy in white appears and invites him to play with him. In the present, Victor shows a drawing of the boy in white made by him to Ethan, and Ethan says it's the same boy he saw. Kenny shows Jade a map and tells him that the town's location is not fixed, as everyone there entered the town from different locations. In the middle of the conversation, a radio suddenly turns on and Jade carries it off. At the colony house, Julie doubts whether she has made a mistake by choosing the colony house because the residents share everything. Tabitha reaches there to talk to Julie, but Julie gets angry because she knows that Jim and Tabitha have decided to get a divorce due to the death of their baby, Thomas. Tabitha returns home and argues with Jim. Meanwhile, Victor takes Ethan into the woods searching for the boy in white. Victor shows Ethan a tree with an opening in it, and he throws a rock into the tree, and the rock falls from another direction. These types of trees can transport objects to random places. While searching for Ethan, Jim and Tabitha are surrounded by wild dogs, but Victor scares them off using a gun. At the diner, a hallucination tells Sarah to kill Ethan, and she has a seizure. Victor freaks everyone at the colony house by digging a set of graves outside the house. Sarah recovers at the clinic. Boyd doubts whether the town can affect people's body and mind after seeing Sarah's and Ethan's seizures. Christy notices tremors developing in Boyd's left hand. As a second opinion, Sarah asks Christy whether she would do one bad thing for the whole town to go home. Christy says that one bad thing is not that bad if it can help the entire town. She also says that her fiancé might be thinking that she abandoned her. Meanwhile, both Jade and Jim are trying to figure out the secret of this town. After leaving the clinic, Sarah locks Tabitha up in a barn and tries to kill Ethan. Her brother Nathan arrives and stops her. He has already confessed to Father Catry about what Christy has done. Sarah kills Nathan when she accidentally slashes his throat with the blade she was going to use to kill Ethan. Catry tells everyone that Sarah has escaped into the woods, but she is held captive in a cellar by him. Catry explains to her that the modern Bible is composed of 73 books, and he thinks that everyone in the town is being tested by God for creating the 74th book. The voices in Sarah's head prove their existence to Catry by reminding him of a bag he buried when he first arrived. Boyd explains about his plan of traveling into the woods with a talisman to find a way out of the town to Kenny. Kenny gets mad as he thinks that this plan is like a suicide attempt. Boyd confesses to Kenny that he is suffering from Parkinson's. Jade and Jim fix the radio using car parts and receive static. Jade hallucinates about a soldier chasing him. He also sees a strange symbol in a tree. When Kenny's mother Tianshin sees the drawings of the symbol made by Jade, she shows him an old notebook with similar drawings. Jim returns home and finds Tabitha digging a hole in the basement to find where the electricity power lines are coming from. At the colony house, a man named Kevin is having a relationship with one of the monsters, and the monster wants to get inside the house. Catry tells Boyd about Sarah and the voices in her head. He wants him and Sarah to accompany Boyd on his journey into the woods. Jim tells Tabitha that he wants to build a radio tower using every equipment he can get in this town. Jade finds a photograph in between pages in the notebook with drawings of the symbol. Tian-shun recognizes a child Victor in it. At the colony house, the residents celebrate the first anniversary of Fathima's arrival in the town. Kevin opens a window to let the monster he loves in. It kills him and leaves the window open for other monsters. Monsters get inside the colony house and kill a lot of residents. Some residents escape in a van. Ellis and Fatima survive by barricading themselves in the colony house foyer with a talisman. At the same time, Victor and Julie escape into the woods, following the boy in white. Victor tells Julie to get inside the faraway tree, and she is transported to a root cellar. The van arrives at the sheriff station. Boyd and Catry help the colony house residents get inside, but a monster slashes Catry out of nowhere and he dies. In the past, Boyd, his wife Abby, and Ellis arrive in the town just minutes before nightfall. Catry talks to them and leads them to a concealed cellar with Donna and other residents. Catry and Donna explain the situation to them. Boyd then starts to lead the people of the town. He begins to organize the town's resources and goes into the woods during daytime and finds livestock. As he gets busy trying to help the residents, he neglects Abby and her growing mental instability. One day, Boyd gets lost in the woods. During nighttime, when the monsters were reaching close to him, he takes refuge inside a cave and discovers the talismans and their protective effect. When he returns to town the next morning, he sees Abby shooting everyone at sight, thinking that she is trapped in a nightmare. When she tries to shoot Ellis, Boyd shoots and kills her. In the present, Ellis, who was mad at Boyd for neglecting Abby's mental instability, reconciles with him. Boyd and Sarah then go into the woods, and Kenny is made the new sheriff. Kenny, Donna, and Jim explain the plan to build the radio tower to the other residents. Boyd and Sarah travel deep into the woods and find a tree with small bottles hanging from the branches, and Sarah has another seizure. In town, the people are building the Colony House radio tower, but are lacking power supply. Tianshun gives Jade the idea to use the electricity from the town's houses. Sarah wakes up in a tent. Boyd shows her a piece of paper from 1864 and tells her that it's from one of the bottles which were hanging from the branches of the tree. Sarah explains that the voice in her head this time was a female voice that instructed her to tell Boyd that his plan was a mistake and there are worse things in the forest than the monsters. Sarah then tells Boyd something that Abby used to say. The tent is then attacked by something. When it stopped, the tent is lit up from the outside, and both of them hear a loud horn. The townspeople collect as much wire as possible to power the radio tower. Ellis proposes to Fatima, and she accepts. Kenny makes an advance on Christy, but she rejects him because she is already engaged. Boyd and Sarah leave the tent and find out that the area is covered by spiderwebs. Boyd is bitten by spiders when he tries to reach inside the web because he presumably hallucinated seeing Abby inside it. Boyd gets tired because of the spider bites and doubts whether to go forward, but Sarah convinces him to go. The townspeople got the radio tower working while a storm was approaching. Jim reaches someone on the radio, but that person addresses him by name and says that Tabitha should not be digging. As soon as Jim hears this, he rushes to his home. Meanwhile, the hole in the basement collapses and Tabitha falls into a cave and Victor meets her there. Victor says that the monsters sleep in the underground. Boyd and Sarah find out that the light and horn originate from a lighthouse. It rains and Boyd can't walk. The boy in white instructs Sarah that entering the faraway tree will keep them safe. Sarah pushes Boyd into the tree, and he is transported into a shaft where he is trapped. Meanwhile, a bus arrives in town. A passenger in the bus warns the others that something is wrong. The townspeople arrive there, and Donna tries to convince the bus driver of the danger. But the driver doesn't listen to her and tries to leave. Donna shoots out a tire on the bus, which causes some passengers to flee. Jade explains to Ethan about the symbols he has been seeing and also shows him the photo of child Victor. Thinking Tabitha is trapped in the hole, Jim, Tom, and 2 passengers of the bus try to rescue her, but the house collapses on top of them and traps them. Victor and Tabitha escape through tunnels and reach a forest, while the creatures inside are waking up. With the help of a stranger, Boyd climbs out of the mine shaft. He discovers that the stranger is an old, weak man chained to the wall. The man asks Boyd to kill him. The name of that man is Martin. Boyd refuses to kill him and tries to free him. Martin warns Boyd that there are worse things there than the monsters in the town. Boyd hears music, and when he looks for its source, he sees a music box on the ground. Martin suddenly grabs Boyd's arm and creates a wound in it using his hands and says that his blood is now Boyd's, and he dies. Boyd then escapes from that place and reaches back in the forest. Meanwhile, Christy tries to reconcile with Maria, her fiancé, who is one of the passengers on the bus. Donna and the townspeople force most of the bus passengers to get inside the diner. Most of the people who didn't get inside are killed by the monsters. The monsters also kill Tom, who is trapped under the collapsed house. Jim, who is also trapped there, survives by being silent. Boyd gets out of the forest and meets up with Victor and Tabitha, who have taken shelter in an old trailer. The townspeople rescue Jim, and in the hospital, Tabitha reveals that the wires are not connected to anything. Then the passengers of the bus are taken to the Colony House. Ellis and Kenny discover Kelly, one of the passengers whose head has been pinned to a tree using a metal rod by the monsters. Jade asks Victor about the symbols, but Victor walks away without giving an answer. Kenny tells Christy about Kelly, and they go to help her. Fatima takes Elgin, one of the passengers of the bus, to the Brundles, which he said he saw in his dream on the bus. After seeing Kelly, Christy tells her that she will not survive. Boyd pulls out the metal rod from her head, and she dies. Tabitha sees 2 strange children while she is talking to Julie. Ethan works on a sculpture puzzle, and Tabitha realizes that it is similar to the stone pile she saw collapse in the tunnels. Kenny discovers Sarah in the basement of the church. Kenny takes Boyd to Sarah at the church. Boyd tells Kenny about Sarah's unique connection to the town. Boyd goes to the clinic and Christy checks all of his injuries from the forest. He lies about the injury made by Martin. Christy asks whether his Parkinson's disease is worsening or not. Jim tells Tabitha about the voice he heard from the radio and doubts that this is an experiment and they are being watched. Boyd has a hallucination of Father Cattry, who tells him not to tell Kenny that Sarah is the reason for his father's death. Jim and Donna discuss the voice on the radio and decide to keep it a secret for now. Randall is creating trouble at the Colony House, and Donna puts him out into the bus. Sarah tells Kenny about opening the clinic door, and he confronts Boyd and quits as deputy. Jade hallucinates seeing Christopher, who is holding his book with the symbols. At the church, Jim and Tabitha confront Boyd and Sarah. Ethan asks Jim and Tabitha to see Sarah, and they meet her, and Ethan says that he doesn't fear her anymore. Meanwhile, the relationship between Christy and Marielle becomes strong. The townspeople show their hate towards Sarah. Victor shows Jade the car graveyard and tells him that he will tell everything about the owner of the book if Jade plays the violin. At the church, Elgin meets Sarah, and they talk about their past before reaching the town. Sarah goes to the diner to get her and Nathan's things, and Tianshin gives her back her things and tells her that she hates her. Kenny sees Sarah leaving the diner, and he grabs and throws all of her things. Victor tells Jade about Christopher and the death of all the people in the town when he started seeing the symbols. Tabitha tries to meet the children she now regularly sees. Jim tells Boyd about the voice over the radio. Marielle sneaks morphine from the clinic. Boyd asks Tianshin to talk. He then talks to her about him protecting Sarah. While trying to leave the diner, Boyd falls down and shows signs of illness. Kenny takes him to the clinic. At night, due to food shortage, Dale argues that the people from the bus shouldn't be given food. During the argument, Dale accidentally stabs Ellis. Elgin drives him to the clinic with Fatima. Boyd needed to transfuse blood to save Ellis. Since there are worm-like parasites transferred by Martin inside him, Boyd refuses first, and then he goes outside to pass the parasites onto the monsters. He passes the parasites onto a monster, and the monster dies. He then transfuses blood and saves Ellis. Fatima asks Christy for a pregnancy test. The next morning, Randall flies his drone over Jim. Jim tells him that the drone could help them find a way to escape by getting the transmitter of the radio above to get a signal. Marielle starts to go through withdrawal. Jade and Tabitha discuss their hallucinations, and Tabitha says that she has seen the symbols in the tunnel. Jim tells Randall his theory about the place being an experiment. Randall tells him about the possibility of anyone conducting the experiment being among them. Marielle has a dream about the monster waking up and the music box playing. After knowing she is pregnant, Fatima tells Donna that she was told she couldn't have children. Christy does the autopsy on the monster and discovers that the monster's insides are dry except for the bile which they extract. Elgin talks to Julie and says that he has forgotten an important detail from his dream. He then bathes in a bathtub and hallucinates hearing the music box and a monster pushing his head underwater. Kenny dreams about the phone ringing in his house. When he answers, a voice chants, "They touch, they break, they steal. No one here is free." He then sees bugs coming out of the cooking pot. Jim and Randall work on the drone to investigate the voice over the radio. Tabitha shows Jade the tunnel entrance where she saw the symbol. To check whether the deaths happening in the town are real or staged, Jim and Randall confront Sarah at the church and ask about Nathan. Donna shows up and tells them to get out. Tabitha asks Victor about why he did not tell Jade about the symbols which he also saw in the tunnels. He says that when people ask questions and look for answers, they do not come back. Boyd and Kenny visit the monster in the basement and see bugs crawling over it. Donna catches them talking about the monster, and Boyd shows her the monster. But now the bugs have disappeared. Boyd and Kenny then burn the monster's body. Randall saw them loading up the monster in the cart. To answer Tabitha's questions, Victor takes her to the car graveyard and shows her some old drawings. Seeing the drawings triggers a flashback of Victor's mother and sister leaving him in the cellar. They see a drawing of the tower, and he says that is where his mother went to save some children. Boyd and Kenny hear the sound of bugs, and Reggie, a resident of the town, leaves his house screaming. Jim finds out that Randall has tied Donna to a tree in the forest to test his theories. Boyd and Kenny discover that Reggie's wife, Paula, was killed by the cicada bugs in her sleep. Reggie says that before dying, she said, "They touch, they break, they steal. No one here is free." Boyd, Kenny, and Julie tell all the residents that they should not sleep. While looking for Donna, Boyd finds out what Randall has done, and he handcuffs Randall. Kenny takes Sarah to the sheriff's station, and Reggie, Christy, and Marielle go to the colony house. Boyd, Donna, Jim, and Randall spend the night in the RV. The monsters come out of the forest but stop when the music box music starts to play over the radio. Christy deals with Marielle's withdrawal symptoms. Randall breaks the RV window and runs into the forest and is attacked by cicadas. Meanwhile, Boyd, Jim, and Donna escape in the van and reach the colony house. Marielle hallucinates about cicadas and falls into a coma. Elgin remembers the part of his dream that he had forgotten and tells it to the colony house residents. In his dream, the boy in white said, "Here they come for 3, unless you stop the melody." The bus driver tells them that this is a nursery rhyme, and she completes it. Julie also hallucinates and falls into a coma. The next morning, Donna goes into the woods and finds Randall, who is alive but is in a coma like Julie and Marielle. Sarah, Boyd, and Kenny go into the woods to find answers, and Sarah tells Boyd that he has accidentally released the entity responsible for all of this, and he has to destroy the music box to solve this problem. Ellis and Fatima get married. Boyd then goes back into the woods after taking a torch that he had taken from the place he saw Martin. He goes to the place where he ended up after meeting Martin and lights the torch. Suddenly, he reaches back to the building where Martin was chained and sees Julie, Marielle, and Randall chained and being tortured by an unseen force. He goes to destroy the music box, but sees a vision of Abby, who tries to stop him. Boyd ignores her and destroys the box. Julie, Marielle, and Randall suddenly wake up from their comas. The new problem in the town seems to have ended. Jade searches the tunnels and sees a vision of the children Tabitha saw, and also sees the symbol he has been seeing in the ceiling. Victor takes Tabitha to the tree with hanging bottles, which is also a faraway tree, and it transports Tabitha to the tower, where she believes the children she has been seeing are being kept prisoner. She then climbs to the top of the tower, where she meets the boy in white, who apologizes and says this is the only way before pushing her out a window. Tabitha wakes up in a hospital, where a doctor tells her that she was found in the woods by hikers 3 days earlier. Tabitha realizes that she has escaped the town and reached the outside world.